Hello everyone. Well, it's going to be another one of those sat on my arse talking videos because, well, I am a lot better than the last video. In fact, I did get worse after that last video. I thought I was on the mend, but I did get worse, quite a bit worse. So now, still a bit blocked up, and I still have a cough, but as each day passes, the cough gets less severe. So I'm not coughing as much, but when I am coughing, it seems to be blocking off my windpipe. So I have a bit of a coughing fit, and then I feel like my windpipe has squeezed. Oh, shut up, Daisy. Has sort of clenched shut because I'm like gasping for air for a few seconds. It's quite scary. And it is a bit worrying, but anyway, I think I'm over the worst now today. If you have a television in the UK, you're supposed to get a license for it, which basically funds the BBC. I don't know how much it is. I don't pay it directly. Mark pays it, but obviously I pay towards the upkeep of the house, and he does all the bills. So it's all divided up. Same with internet and everything. But if I lived on my own, I would not have TV license. My eldest brother doesn't have TV license. He watches all he wants to watch, I think, on his computer. I don't think he even has a television. I think he watches, Netflix and things like that on his laptop, or he's probably got bigger monitors he can watch it on, but he won't. I don't think he'll have a TV. So I think going forward, the BBC licence fee will be going because a lot of the younger generation don't watch much TV. I hardly watch live TV now. And it's such a change for me because I was such a TV addict. I had 2 video recorders constantly on the go recording stuff. I was early on. I was quite an early adopter of satellite television when that came in, and now I just despair at what we're shown on TV. And for me, it's the only thing I would sort of. Mark and I watch Strictly. I know it's a bit, but we watch Strictly Come Dancing when that's on, and it's something we watch together. We both like it, but I don't like X Factor. Masked Singer, that's the latest one. All there's a dance thing, Greatest Dancer on BBC, X Factor, all that. I don't like any of that. I don't watch all these. I don't watch Love Island. I'm probably far too old to watch it, but it doesn't appeal. I used to enjoy Big Brother back in the day, and I stopped watching Big Brother, but I did like the celebrity version. I used to watch that. But really, apart from that, I seldom watch TV live. I prefer to stream something or get a DVD because I love the old stuff. I mean, for me, sitcoms, my thing is comedy. That is my bag. That is what I prefer to watch, whether it be in a film or sitcom. It's always, for me, comedy's been my love. I don't like horror films. I don't really like thrillers, dramas. I don't mind the odd drama. I might like historical dramas. I mean, I've watched all the Queen. I got Netflix, and I watched the three series of the no, not the Queen, is it? It's not called the Queen. The Crown. I watched all 3 series of The Crown on Netflix, and I sort of, well, that was when I was ill, you see, because I couldn't really do much else I just had no energy. So I basically binge watched The Crown when I was ill, which didn't help because there was an awful lot of coughing. If you've seen The Crown, you'll know that the first king portrayed in The Crown, I can't remember if it was Edward, or was it, I don't know. Anyway, whatever the first king was, he had problems with his lungs. He had a lung removed. I think he was coughing up blood. So I was ill, coughing, and so that didn't help. And then Churchill was also not very well, and he was coughing a lot. And then there was an episode that portrayed the smog that London got. I can't remember the year. I think it's in the 50s. This smog descended on London due to the weather conditions and the fact that back then people were burning dirty fuel, and there was smoke coming out chimneys of houses and factories and power stations, and all this combined with an unusual weather conditions that made the smog stay. It didn't blow away, it stayed, and it killed a lot of people. Some people, well, there's one woman portrayed who was an assistant to Churchill. She was portrayed as she got run over by a bus because she got knocked over in the fog. But other people died later on of respiratory conditions and all sorts. And then, new laws were introduced, the Clean Air Act. So we don't get things like that happening nowadays, thank God. So there was that. There's people coughing in that, and there was an awful lot of coughing and sickness. And then even an episode of Princess Margaret. This is in season 3. They were touring the USA, and she got a bit ill. She got a bit of cold, and she was coughing. And yeah, there was an awful lot of coughing in The Crown. But anyway, I really enjoyed it. So if you have Netflix, you don't have to be a royalist. I'm not. I'm definitely not a royalist. My mum enjoyed it as well. I asked her if she's seen it because she's recently got Netflix. I asked her if she'd seen it, and she said, oh yes, she's watched it all and she really enjoyed it. But she's not much of a royalist either. I think my dad was more a royalist. I believe he met the Queen. I know in one of the photo albums at my mum's, there is a picture of my dad lined up with the Queen, going down the line, shaking hands with their white gloves on. It was when my dad used to be a manager of, I think it was various restaurants in London railway stations. He was involved in the catering side. The company was called Travellers Fare, and they used to provide catering for the trains, the buffet cars on trains as well. But they also had restaurants. There was one in Victoria Station, King's Cross, big. But my dad I think he was an area manager. I think he used to go around the southeast. But anyway, for some reason, the Queen came to one of the stations my dad worked at, and so he was lined up to meet her. And I've got there was a picture of Prince Charles as well. My cousin, is he my cousin? No, he's not my cousin. He's my great cousin, Jack. There's a picture of him meeting, but I'm not, not really into the royal family. I think there's fair enough. If you have to be, I think the people need to be governed on the whole. There needs to be somebody to set out some rules, I suppose. Even that I'm a bit dubious about, but at least we can say we've elected those people. But the royal family, they're born into it. They're not elected. They do get paid from our taxes. They get money from us. And personally, I just don't think it's right this day and age that we've got a royal family. So I'm sorry for any royalists out there. I mean, I just don't think it's morally right that there should be people, just because they're born into a certain family, should be made to be sort of above everyone else. There should be nobody. There's only one person or entity, call it or him or her what you will, but to me there is only one greater power that's greater than everyone, and that is whoever created this world we live in. And I've mentioned it before, I do believe this world we live in, we habitat, is the result of creation, not an accidental big bang that created everything out of nothing. I don't follow that. If you believe in that, that's fine. I don't. So I suppose I could call myself a creationist. I think that's what I would have to lump myself. I'm certainly leaning more towards that. So to me, there should be no human being. But if you talk to David Icke, he doesn't believe the royal family are human. And do you know what? I'm keeping an open mind about that. I know there's so many bizarre things you see and hear on the internet these days, but it does get you questioning a lot of what your life is. I've always been a bit dubious about things. I suppose cynical, you could call it cynical, but I prefer to say dubious. But now I am certainly more dubious about a lot of events that we are shown in the media. The media is a very good way of controlling the masses. This is you learn this as you get older. There's always something in every generation that they make you scared of. My generation, we were brought up to be scared of an impending nuclear war where we would all be annihilated. We were taught about it in school. There was all this tension with Russia, and we went to school thinking we might not, 1 minute somebody could press a red button and we're all gone. I mean, and then subsequent generations, it's always been something, whether it be, wars or political issues or environmental issues. What's happened to the hole in the ozone layer? That was another thing. We've got to be scared. A hole in the ozone, ice caps melting. So at the moment, yes, that is a big thing. This extinction, I can't say it. Extinction, rebellion. So we're all going to die in 10 years if we don't stop burning fossil fuels and basically go back to living in a cave. And again, because I've lived, I wouldn't say I'm as you grow older, you might not get wiser, but you certainly have more experience, and you can see the cycles in things. You can see things happening over and over again, and your life goes on much the same as it always does, and the media is portraying all this doom and gloom, and yet if you just think about it, your life is probably going on the same as it has. Obviously our lives change, we suffer loss, we might lose, a loss of a loved one, loss of a job, moving house. We have changes, of course, but on the whole, they're things that we're sort of in control of. We're not in control of, obviously, a loved one dying, unless you're the person that's killed them. But we can have some control over what job we decide to do, or what career path we want to take, or where we want to live. We don't. Some people have more choices than others. That's true. But for me, what's going on in the world doesn't really affect me in a huge degree. And if you think about it, people get so worked up about who the president is. If you're watching, I know there's a lot of anti-Trump people and a lot of people who are for Trump, and the same in the UK. There's, obviously we've had Brexit, and there's Remainers and Leavers, and it's all this tension. But really, when you just sit back and just ignore all that and think about it, most of you will probably say, well, no, my life hasn't really changed. It's still the same. And that's certainly the case for me. You could go through your life completely ignoring the media, and I did go through a stage of that, and I wasn't aware of anything. I didn't watch the news or anything. I wasn't aware of anything going on, and I was a lot happier. I was just concentrating on the world that I know, the world I inhabit. I try not to have a negative impact on the world around me, on the people around me, on the things around me, on nature. I try to have as little impact, negative impact anyway. I try and if I can, you know, I try and put out a positive vibe. It doesn't always work. But I try just to sort of limit my impact on the world around me. But yeah, nothing much has changed. I mean, things are changing. We're getting older. Things changed with my job. Still live in the same house. I still got the same partner. But, you know, things don't always go smoothly in relationships. You know, the biggest change that's going to happen for me soon is a new living room carpet. There's no carpet in this living room. I took all that up this week. So I was well enough to do that. They wanted to charge us quite a lot to take the old carpet away. So I said, no, we'll do that ourselves. So we're having a new carpet next week in the living room and a new underlay. So all that had to go. So basically all I did, I got a sharp Stanley knife and cut the carpet into strips, rolled it up, got some brown tape, taped it up so they were in manageable sort of roll sizes to go in the back of the car. Only Saturday, Mark, because it's Monday today, Saturday Mark took the carpet up to the tip. So this week, because the carpet, it's now Monday, next Monday the new carpet's being fitted, and next Tuesday we're going to London. So this week, I don't know if I'll start it today, but I just need to paint all the skirting board, give that an undercoat and a couple of top coats, and the door frames, and probably, if I've got enough paint, I should paint the doors. The walls could do with a new coat of paint. They're a bit tatty in places, but I haven't the time or energy to do that before the new carpet's down. Pardon me. But as long as everything's covered up, you know, I can do any other decorating with the new carpet. But I always like to, skirting boards always look better if you paint them, if you pull back the carpet. But often when you're pulling back the carpet in the corner, around a room, you can often not get them back properly. So I thought, while there's no carpet, I'll get the new coat of paint on the skirting board, so when the new carpet goes down it'll all look nice for that. So that's what I'm planning on doing this week if I get nothing else done. I've managed to get I'm celebrating small victories because I've had no energy and I've not been well, but the toilet upstairs in my ensuite has been taking half an hour to fill. It's a pretty common fault. I bought a new piece I needed. I went to fit it yesterday, but it's too big. It does fit, but it's a float valve thing. And it's quite a small cistern, and unfortunately the float part rubbed up against the side, so it wasn't working. So I had to get another more compact piece. Anyway, it's fitted, it doesn't leak, I've double checked, and I've fixed the toilet. Now it flushes and it fills within a minute. So that's something that's been on the to-do pile for ages, so that was good to get that done. I can't find the motivation to do the decluttering and to sell the stuff I need to sell. I mean, I did get rid of quite a nice little pile of stuff to the charity shop this week. Mark took that for me. But it's just, you know, the tip of a very big iceberg. I just really need to get the house sorted. Downstairs isn't bad, but I'm looking now. I've been watching a lot of minimalist videos on YouTube, but they tend to be mainly American people. But they all, I don't know if it's very realistic, you know, because they do these videos on minimalism, but the ones I've seen, they all live in perfect minimalist houses. I mean, not overly minimalist, you know. You can go too far with minimalism, you know, just having one mug, one plate, you know, one chair, one table, you know, one lamp. Yeah, it's a bit too much. You can be, I'm not going to be minimalist, but I do know I've got too much stuff, and I'm sure a a lot of you watching this probably think, yeah, you've got a lot of stuff. And one thing to do, if you want to get rid of it, and if you are not desperate for the money, the quickest way, rather than throwing it, obviously some stuff might not be worth even giving to a charity shop or a thrift store. But if you if you don't need the money and you've got a charity shop or thrift store that supports the cause you're interested in, give it to a charity and they'll get some money and somebody else will buy something they want. And that's what I've done. I can't be bothered with eBay selling a lot of the little things. I've given away hundreds of pounds worth of stuff because it's just not worth the hassle. In the old days when I was very short of cash and struggling and going overdrawn all the time and getting charges upon charges and paying interest and all that, I was selling a lot on eBay. This was before I was on YouTube though. I had the time to do eBay. It's such a lot of work. I am still going to be eBaying vacuum cleaners there, but when it comes to all the little piddly little things where you have to find a box and you have to take it to the post office, and oh no, I'd just rather give that away. It's such a hassle. But a larger item like a vacuum, I can actually have it collected from my house by a courier, so that's a lot easier. So I need to get into that really. But yeah, I've been resorting to prayer, saying, look, please give me the motivation, give me the energy, give me the drive. I just need a kick up the backside, because I know that how much better I just know my life will be so much better with less stuff. I know it. I can feel it. It's just something I inherently know that I will be happier just to be able to just know where things are. I spend so much time getting all worked up. I couldn't find my wallet. Mark and I were going into town on Saturday. I needed to pick up some new glasses that have been ready for weeks, and then we were going to go to Aldi, and I couldn't find my wallet. So in the end, Mark had to go off because we also had the carpet in the back of the car for the tip. So we were going to go to the tip with the carpet, go to the charity shop with the stuff for charity, and then go into town. But because I couldn't find my wallet, Mark went off, and then he said, well, if you find it, he'll ring up when he's finished, and if I found the wallet, he'll come and collect me. So anyway, I did find the wallet. But the fact it took me ages looking and getting stressed out, I just thought, oh, there's too much stuff. I'm just moving stuff. I'm spending so much time dealing with stuff, I just know in my heart of hearts that I will feel so much better when I can walk around this house and there's nothing out of place. I don't want to reach a stage where I'm absolutely so anal about it that I can't live in the house, It's a home, but I just want to be, I got rid of so much wires and cables and stuff for things I don't have anymore. That they weren't taking up much room. It was like they were in a box, in a smallish storage box, but still I got rid of most of that and was able to empty a whole box of stuff, and just small things like that just help, because I've got a big mountain to climb, and it's very, 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 very daunting. If you look at all the stuff, you've just got to try and get your small victories where you can, and just work at it. Just do a bit each day. And also I've decided, with my collection of vacuum cleaners, there are some sort of new in the box models that I've always said, I'm not going to use that. Oh no, I'm going to keep that new in the box. I've decided, what's the point? So once I've sorted my collection and I've got it down to a nice core selection, They will all be ones. I'm not going to have new in the box unused vacuums. I'm going to take them out. If I want to keep it, I'm going to take it out of the box and use it. I bought a more or less new in the box Hoover from the 1980s that had been used by the previous owner, but only very briefly. You know, it maybe about 10 minutes or so it'd been on. But I thought, no, I'm not going to leave it new. I'm going to use it. And I have been using it. I even took the air freshener that it comes with out of the packet and put it in the machine, and I'm using it and enjoying using it. So that's what my collections, because I do have other collections, I'm going to use them and enjoy them. And if I don't enjoy them or appreciate them, then they're going to be sold off. I've just got to get out of this. You see what? This is another rambling video, isn't it? It's not one subject. I was going to talk about death and dying, but that's gone by the by, so I'll have to save that for another time. So I'll finish off. I'm just discussing things that are sort of current with me at the moment. Now I've completely lost my lost my thread. So yes, why I collect. Now, I would probably need to see a psychologist or psychiatrist, but personally I think I collect because it is a link to a past. It's a link to my youth. It's a link to my childhood. I buy things that I either owned as a child or wanted as a child or owned as a young man in my 20s. So I'm harking back to think, and you know, so for me, unusually, yes, for some reason, you know, I like vacuum cleaners and collect vacuum cleaners, and I got rid of a load. So to get a vacuum cleaner from the 80s I used to own from new is a way of trying to get that feeling back, you know, short of having a time machine, and that is one of the fantasies I have, of being able to time travel. And it's such a quandary, isn't it? Because, you know, they say, well, if you time travel, you can't do anything. If you go back in the past, if you do something in the past, that could affect your future now. You know, we've all seen those sci-fi films and programs where they've done somebody's gone back in time, done something, and it could be something quite insignificant, but when they've got back to the present, their whole present has completely changed. But I often have little daydreams and fantasies about being able to travel back, but it's such, you know, would you want to travel back in time? Okay, say you could travel back to a time period, say in your teens, and you're going back and you've got the knowledge you have now, but you're going back to occupy that space and time, maybe just for a day or so. You're in the body you used to have, but you've got the mind and the brain of a much older person, and you're going back, and we get upset. You're going back to a time where you can interact with people, you know, that have died, pets that have died. And so it's going on to death. Because I've been thinking about my dad quite a lot this morning while I was at work, because I have such a humdrum job. The only way I cope with it is to take my mind elsewhere. So I am physically doing the job I'm paid to do, and I do it well. I do it well. I do it conscientiously. I earn my money, but my head is not there, because I couldn't cope with that job if my head was there. It's one place that you don't want to be in the now. You know, that was a buzzword a few years ago. Be in the now, experience the now, because the now is all we have. The past is gone and we haven't experienced the future yet. So experience the now, enjoy every sensory experience. Just take it all in. Be in the now. Don't be on your phone looking at a screen all the time. Experience, take it all in. Well, when I'm at work, I don't want to do that because that's the worst thing I could do, because I don't want to be there. I don't want to take that in. If I'm up a fell somewhere in the Lake District and I've reached the summit of that, and I'm observing my surroundings, I'm looking all around me, then I want to be in the now and experience that. That is when you need to be, experience things. When you're enjoying them, really experience them. So, obviously when I'm at work, I daydream a lot, just to pass the time. And I do also plan things. I'm thinking practical thoughts, but I'm also daydreaming. I'm also having fantasies. And it just helps me to get through. So today, for some reason, I was thinking a lot of my dad, and I was getting a bit teary-eyed. Wasn't sobbing, but I was getting a bit glassy-eyed and just thinking of things that, regrets. I know it's not. We all have regrets, don't we? I mean, you shouldn't. I have a lot of regrets regarding the relationship I had with my dad. And now he's gone, obviously. I can't do anything about it. I mean, I do have a dialogue with my dad in my head, and I do believe, and I've said this before previously, but I do believe that my dad can hear me when I bring him up in my head. I believe he's present somehow. And as I've said also before, if you've been watching this channel for a while, I've been, not for quite a while, but I have been to 2 mediums, and both of them have mentioned my dad within minutes. I don't know if they both said his name. One, within a couple of minutes of me sitting down, they said, "Who's David?" I said, "Oh, my dad was called David." And they didn't know who I was. I didn't make the booking, They couldn't do any research. They didn't know. Mark made the booking for 2 people. They couldn't have looked anything up or found out anything about me. They both mentioned my dad. One of them said that he's sort of there. He comes to me in my dreams, and I've had vivid dreams of speaking with my dad and hugging my dad, and they felt so real, and you wake up crying. Some of you might have experienced this if you've got a deceased loved one. And although it's quite comforting, I do wake up crying, but I also I also feel very comforted by it, and I feel that I've actually had a meeting with my dad. And who's to say I haven't? We don't know. Nobody can watch me and mock me or mock anyone who believes that they have had an encounter with a deceased relative, because none of us know. None of us can say what happens when we die. There'll be a lot of people that are convinced that we're worm food, we're nothing. We do not exist. Once our heart stops beating and our brain is dead, that's it. I don't believe that. And it's because through experiences of having I have a knowing, I think. It's just that I can't explain it. It's just something I feel. I feel that, I don't know if it's my dad or or whoever, but I feel that I am being watched over. I'm being protected from a lot of things, and I do speak to whoever. I do believe that. I mean, they say we have guardian angels. They say your guardian angel could be completely unknown to you, could be a relative that's passed on, or it could be also a relative that was unknown to you, but they know you. You know, I never knew my dad's parents, for example. They both died before I was born. I only knew my mum's parents. But as you get older and you have more loss, you may get a sense of feeling that they're still there, they're still present, and you see signs. You might smell something that reminds you of them, or you might see something out the corner of your eye. There's just it's hard. You can't. It's not scientific. You know, it can't be measured. But bloody hell, not everything in this world needs to be measured by science or mathematics or whatever. There's some things that you cannot sort of explain in a logical way. But there's a lot of things in this world that aren't logical. But you've just got to go with your gut. You've got, I'm getting this is where I get this, when I'm in this sort of, I don't say mood or whatever, when I'm feeling like this, when I'm sort of thinking of my dad, I get a feeling here. It's just, you can't describe it. I'm sure there's going to be people watching that know what I mean. You can't explain it, but there's just something. I've said before, I'm not afraid of dying. I don't want to die yet because I've got too much stuff I need to sort out. But I don't know. Anyway, I think I best go. It's trouble, you see. I felt I'd have another chat just to say, I'm still here, I'm still alive, but not quite ready to sort of move about with my camera and do other things. But I thought I could at least sort of check in with you and have a chat. Got my Daisy May here. Molly's on the well, we have a rug in the middle of the room, so she's not lying on the bare floor. And one day I'll have to face losing this lovely thing. Hey? Because I've lost so many dogs in my life. I mean, no, don't growl. They do know, bless, so sensitive dogs, If you get upset, they come to see what's wrong. Don't you, eh? It's alright, I'm just a big softie. So, to conclude the video, what we'll say to you, and you can take this advice if you want. I know I wasn't keen on taking advice of older people when I was younger, but yes, I am an older person. I don't feel it inside, but I am an older person, I suppose. Well, I'll say to you, if you're currently estranged from a member of your family, your mother, father, brother, sister, whatever, and if it's over a silly thing, or obviously if you're estranged from someone because they've abused you and done horrific things or murdered another member of your family, then yeah, possibly I'm not going to suggest making the first move and sort of trying to build a bridge. But a lot of people fall out over silly things, and it's often pride and stubbornness that prevents you from making that first move to start rebuilding that relationship. So, see, that's why I have many regrets with how I treated my dad. I mean, I had issues with my dad over, I'm not going to go into why, it's too personal, But there were certain reasons why I treated my dad the way I treated him. I didn't forgive him for certain things. And, you know, I do remember the day he died. I did have a conversation with him, and he probably knew he was going to die. He probably knew that day. And there was a sort of a bit of making peace, and I think we did say, he did say loved me, and I said it back. And I'm glad. That's the last time I saw him. But I do totally regret a lot how I treated him, because you would understand. I think you would understand my reasons. I'm not going into them, but I could have tried to be more forgiving. So I regret that. Totally regret that. So all I'm saying to you is, if you are having a feud or disagreement or something with a member of your family, please be the bigger person and try and reach out to them. If they don't want to know, well, that's fine, you've tried. But also, maybe they will come back to you later, in a few months or years, and they might decide to offer the olive branch. Well, don't you then think, well, you tried, you're not going to accept. Be gracious and accept them. They might not be ready. But believe you me, there's nothing worse than having regrets. Certainly when somebody's gone, somebody's died, of course, I still believe, as I said, I believe I'm having a dialogue with my dad, and I've made my peace with him. And I talk to him all the time in my head, and I believe he's there. He's sent me messages through a medium. He's apologised as well on his side. And I've spoken to him, and I feel I have spoken to him, you know. But if you don't believe in all that, then it's probably best to do it when they're alive. Don't regret not building those bridges. Just try. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. If the other person doesn't want to know, they don't want to know, you know. But there's nothing worse, you know, than having regrets like that. Anyway, so that's it. To end the video on a sort of a happier, newsier note, if you're, well, anybody watching for caravan videos won't be watching this, but we have several places booked, several caravan sites booked, starting in March. I can't remember where we're going in March. Somewhere fairly close. And I think we're going to, oh, hang on, it's the Peak District. We're going somewhere, Mark's arranging it all. I've just said to him, look, just you arrange it, I'll just go. I don't care. We try and look for adult-only sites because, you know, but I don't really want the noise of children. You know, fine, if you've got a young family, and that's fine, but when you're older, you just want the peace. So, we're going to the Peak District in March, and I believe we're going to Lincolnshire at some point, and I think Devon has been mooted in September. So we're going to be getting out in the caravan and doing things, and I'll be doing other bits and bobs. You know, it's not all going to be just chatting, wasting your time. But I don't mind if some of you, you know, if you're watching this now, obviously it's been of use, whether it's just helped to get you to sleep, or whether you've enjoyed me chatting, and whether it's made you think about things. And, you know, it doesn't matter if it's just one person, because I'm not doing this for fame. It's a very small channel. I'm certainly not doing it for money, because I don't really earn anything from this channel at all. So I don't, you know, I'm thinking, why am I doing it? But perhaps it's something I have to do. And like I say, if just a handful of people enjoy these chats and get something from it, then that's good, I suppose, isn't it? And there'll be people watching that probably never comment, but who do look forward to seeing my videos. So it is humbling, I suppose, to think that there could be complete strangers out there who I might be making a difference. Because I've never thought I've made a difference to anyone. I've never done much with my life. But perhaps this is my way of trying to make a difference to some people, and hopefully in a good way. Obviously, if I'm having a negative effect on folk, don't watch me. People used to comment all the time on my other channel and this channel, and they don't anymore. But I don't take it personally. I feel, well, they probably don't watch me anymore, but can't do anything about that. You got to be true to yourself and just do what you feel is right, and don't think about, oh, I'm going to offend somebody by saying this. In life, you've just got to be true to yourself. Just obviously don't be nasty to people, but also don't be afraid to say what you feel. Again, as long as it's nothing. You've got to be so careful, though, in this woke generation about saying anything. And that is a bad thing, to be honest, because we are being stifled. A lot of people are being stifled by just having an opinion. And people should be allowed to have their opinions. I don't agree, obviously, with bullying, either cyberbullying or face-to-face bullying. I don't agree with people being racist or homophobic or showing cruelty to animals, things like that. But I'm not going to object to someone who, doesn't believe in God, somebody who has a different view of politics, somebody, I'm not going to. It's their life and it's their view. They are entitled to it. As long as having their view doesn't hurt anyone else. I have some pretty bizarre thoughts and views. Most of them I keep to myself. Some people share them and I watch them on, but I think, well, that's their right. Even if I might agree with them, I might not agree with them, but it's their right to have their opinions if they want them, as long as they're not harming anyone. We should be still allowed to have free speech, and free speech seems to be getting eroded, and it needs to be stopped. We should be able to say what we feel within reason. But it's just getting silly. It started off with political correctness. A lot of the stuff I love watching, certainly 70s sitcoms and other things, you would not, things you sort of, even now, even though you're brought up with them, you sort of look at them thinking, blimey. Even like 70s game shows where they used to use half-naked women draped over the consumer goods to and women were just sex objects, and Miss World and all that's gone by the by. Black and white minstrel show where white people used to black up with big white lips and black up and curly wigs, and that was entertainment back in the 70s. Crikey, they don't repeat that. I've seen the odd clips on these sort of retrospective, can't believe we were like that sort of shows, But this is, when you're brought up in that environment, it is not. You don't think about it. Women were given a slap on the bottom, and they were supposed to take it as being an affectionate slap. And women were treated like, you should be in the home and stay in the house, you shouldn't be working. Women weren't paid equally to men. I just watched that film Made in Dagenham. It's a very good film if you haven't seen it. And it's based on a true story about the workers in the Ford factory, mainly female workers in the Ford factory, who did the upholstery for the cars, and they were paid a lot less than the men who worked assembling the cars, and they strived for equal pay. And eventually we got the Equal Pay Act because of a group of women who decided to stand up for their rights. I wish I was so brave to put my head above the parapet and say, yes, I don't agree with this. But, you know, I do admire people that do that, that have a cause and they go for it and they get other people inspired and make changes. Anyway, yeah, nobody's watching now. Nobody's watching now, Molly Pop. Yeah. Very short attention spans, a lot of people these days. Even I have, you know. Sometimes I like to have a long video on in the background, a YouTube video that goes on for a long time to listen to, you know, it could be a podcast or something, and I like the lengthy ones. But if I just want to find some information out quick, if I want to learn, like, for example, how to fix my toilet, I don't want all the chit-chat. I'm shouting at the screen, fix the fucking toilet, please. I don't want. And I know people will be saying that to me. I know I'm totally guilty of babbling on when I could be getting down to it. But I should try and focus on different, you know, making some rambling long videos like this as well as some more punchy, get to the point videos, you know. But again, it's trying to cater for so many different people. You never cater for everyone. And there's no point in trying. But anyway, I'm certainly going now. I think I've worked up an appetite. There's some nice hot buttered, well, hot, not buttered, but hot non-dairy spread crumpets waiting for me, I think. I'll fancy that. And need to put on a load of washing, so that's exciting. And then once I've had a bit of a rest, because I've been at work, I'm going to start doing some sanding of the woodwork in the living room. Sand the woodwork, vac all the dust up, give it a wipe, and then get down to painting tomorrow and just concentrate on painting tomorrow. That's what I'm going to do. Fingers crossed. So until the next time, thank you if you've completed the video. I can't believe it if you have, but thank you so much. And hopefully I'll be completely cured, completely well. As I said, I'm tons better than I was, and I did actually resort to prayer last week. As well as doing all the practical things, I did resort to a little bit of, come on, I've had enough, can you make me well? So, yeah. Bye for now. Thanks for watching. And don't forget, if you take anything away from this video, the most important thing is do not hold a grudge against loved ones, because one day you'll still hold that grudge and it'll be too late to do anything about it. So try and build those bridges now while the other person is still here. So that's it. I'm off now. Yeah, I really am going. So hard to say goodbye, isn't it? But I'm going to say goodbye. So goodbye, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all soon.